Marcellus Wiley, part of the Dan Patrick Podcast Network, his weekly show, a unique journey around the sports, entertainment, cultural landscape. It's called More to It with Marcellus Wiley, wherever you listen to your podcast. Tom Brady's announcement, your reaction was what 2 hours ago?
My reaction, the first one, no lie, was deja vu. Like, we've been here before. Obviously, it's an emotional time for anybody who plays the game of football, especially at the level of greatness of Tom Brady. You still see two teams fighting for what we all fought for, which is that championship. And Tom Brady, obviously the winner of 7 of those, is thinking in this moment he feels a void, he feels the absence. But I think this one is real. One, because he's just been through so much. It's like, how much more toothpaste can you squeeze out the tube? So I really believe that he's being authentic in this moment. That said, it really made me reflect, because I was on the field and I was literally 4 inches away, it felt like, Dan, from sacking Tom Brady when he threw his first career passing touchdown against my San Diego Chargers. I saw the video like a year ago. Someone sent it to me. I come around the corner and I'm coming. He launches the ball, his first touchdown ever. And it made me reflect, because I'm a starter in the league. Like, I replaced Bruce Smith before Tom Brady got on the field. Then we had a career simultaneously. Then I retired from football, became a media personality, and pivoted out of like traditional media, and is sitting here with you, Dan, right now. And he still was playing football. Like, it's just unreal to see that level of greatness.
But is it tougher to get to the point to announce your retirement or actual retirement?
Ooh, great question. I think the toughest part is getting to that place. Like, coming up with all of the pros and cons, because that's what's so tiring. I remember I went through this process much lower level, but I was playing with the Dallas Cowboys. That was the first time it entered my head. Like, I'm coming down the hill and I think I might want to accelerate this. I think it's over. And I was talking to Darren Woodson, my teammate at the time, who said, once you start thinking about retirement, you're basically retiring. And it's a process, because you're weighing the good with the bad, with the reality that once you say it's over, it is truly over. You die a football death. You've been doing it since you were 8 years old. It's the best job in the world. It's a man's and childhood dream coming together. And you're sitting there like, I'm about to say no to this. Like, they're not forcing you out. You actually going to raise your hand and say, I'll tap out. The toughest thing is getting to that place where you raise your hand.
And you were 33.
Yeah, young, man. And I got dropped into the real world, didn't know which way was up. Thankfully, I found media, but I really reflect on moments like that, because you just don't know what to do. My whole life was an itinerary. And all of a sudden, I'm out here with all these choices, had $5 in my pocket, and didn't know which way was up, but I finally found my way.
Talking to Marcellus Wiley, the former NFL All-Pro defensive end. You know, that life after football and trying to, and I mentioned this, if Tom Brady is going to find an attachment to football, going out to the games is so much more important, I think, for him than being in the studio. Because
absolutely.
That's as close as you get. He can go out and actually prepare for both opponents. And, that's why I thought Drew Brees missed out. He was in a sterile environment in the studio. You had just retired, and then you tried to go out and call games, and it didn't work out. But when you're in that moment, like Tony Romo, when you get in that moment, like you're excited, it's as close as you get to playing. But, Terry and Howie and those guys are in the studio, and it's, probably tough to get that, energy, that momentum, that fire, that fight in you.
Yeah, I had this discussion, I won't call it an argument, with Mike Tirico one day. We were at the airport just talking for a few minutes, and he loves going to the games because of the energy, because of exactly what you said, the thrill of like preparing for both sides. And this is a guy who didn't play, right? So for Tom Brady, you can see the pros of that. But let me give you the flip side of that coin, because my thoughts were, I love the studio. Why? Because I can go to the studio. I have structure. I have my set times. I'm in, I'm out. That's it. It's simple. I'm still a part of the game. I still get to express my passion, but I'm not traveling the entire country, the entire world, like I've been doing for the last 20 years. So some guys just want to ease up on the travel and those demands and just still be a part of the game. So we were just talking about pros and cons. One of the cons of actually calling games is you have to go where the games are. And sometimes when you're retired, just want to sit back and relax.
All right. The DeMeco Ryans hire in Houston, and you had Sean Payton in Denver. Which one excites you the most?
Oh, Sean Payton in Denver. Because of the apprehension in this one. Like if you heard the reports, there were conflicting reports about how the meeting went in Denver, how he got along with ownership in Denver. And then DeMeco Ryans was a candidate, but he wasn't in Denver. And to me, that just reeks of apprehension. And I tell you why. I think it's Sean Payton looking at Russell Wilson and looking at this dynamic because it was a ready-made Super Bowl roster before Russell. All they needed was a competent quarterback. And they thought they got a competent quarterback, but they didn't get that last year out of Russell Wilson. So if you're Sean Payton, who everyone loves, he's the best thing going, do you want to go to a situation where when you do a proper evaluation, Russell Wilson isn't who Russell Wilson's supposed to be? Russell Wilson has been whispered about for many years in Seattle. Hey, he's not the leader y'all think he is. Hey, he's not the offensive firepower weapon you think he is. He doesn't throw the ball like you think he does. Not on schedule, not reliable. And everyone was saying that, and we used to slight them because we were like, oh, you're just mad because Russell's so successful. But now you look back, running game, top in the league. Defense, top in the league when he had his most success. When they said, here are the keys, the car kind of went off the track, went off the road.
Okay. Do you think, and the words being used is fix, can Sean Payton fix Russell Wilson?
No, can't fix Russell Wilson. What you got to do is dress Russell Wilson up. You got to give him the proper assets, resources. They have players. What you have to do is give him the scheme. You got to give him the system that he wants to play in. Being real, evaluating Russell Wilson, he licks his chops when the plays break down. Now, last year, he didn't have success when the plays were breaking down. But typically, Russell Wilson will look at a play, call that play, and hope that play doesn't work so Russell Wilson can now be Russell Wilson. Like he activates when the play breaks down in structure. That's a problem. That's not reliable. That's not predictable. An offensive coordinator is pulling his hair out like, dude, I called this flat pattern, and here you go scrambling around. Yeah, you completed the post, but how often can we call the flat that turns into the post? We have to stick to the script. And I think that's the most difficult thing about Russell. He doesn't stick to the script. That's impossible to fix. Got to just dress it up.
He did stick to the script on this date in 2015 when Malcolm Butler had the interception.
Don't do that, man. You imagine being on that team, Dan. I mean, no one ever wants to blame one guy for it, except, when we watch the Ohio State kicker, everyone's like, yo, you did that. But outside of that, you never want to blame one guy for one thing. But if I were a Seahawk, I'll be looking at Russell Wilson like, brother, you and Pete Carroll, who called this? Why did we do that? Lose the Super Bowl over one play? That's horrible.
Okay, take me back, or at least what your thought was, Joseph Asai, chasing Patrick Mahomes. You're taught to, those guys up front, you get paid by hitting the quarterback. Your job is to hit the quarterback, get to the quarterback. How hard is it to pull up in a situation like that?
Yeah, great point. I talked about it on the podcast in the sense of people don't know what maniacal is, don't know what maniacal looks like. I played with guys who were so laser singularly focused that when they saw color, they would hit color, no matter where the color was. This Rodney Harrison, goodness. I have scars on my back still from Rodney Harrison just coming in the pile. Like, I don't care what happened. I don't care if I heard the whistle. I'm still going to see color and hit color, right? So in that sense, I was never that guy. And that's in part why I wasn't as great as some of those guys. I always was thinking on the field. I was always calculating on the field. Oh, he's coming close out of bounds. Let up, Wiley. Versus Rodney, who's like, I don't even see out of bounds. Everything's blurry. I just see meat. I'm about to eat. So what's difficult in that moment is some guys are wired to just go all out, go all in. And some guys are not. But the guys who are wired like that make more plays than not. Joseph Asai is a good player. Like, he makes plays sideline to sideline. So it's very difficult based on the wiring. Charles Woodson says I'm wrong. We talked about this. He's like, look, I don't give a damn how good, how great you are. You know the game, you know the rules, and you know when to hit them. That said, some guys just don't. They just go at it.
You talked about on the podcast how LeBron James is embracing nepotism. You want to explain?
Yeah, I have to. One, his son's at Sierra Canyon his last year. Son's ranked like 40th in the country, which is amazing, but he still takes criticism because he's a LeBron son, and I guess he's not number one. Point being, McDonald's All-American game, he gets invited, but he's 40, and they only take the top 24. So all of a sudden, everyone's coming at Bronny James for like, how'd you get in the game? Well, you know how he got in the game, dummy. His daddy name, it's like a Peyton Eli with an Archie attached. Like, yeah, that's going to help you, as it should. And I think finally I'm starting to see from LeBron James some of his remarks. Like, he understands what nepotism is. One of the things I hate about culture at large is that they actually want us to accept that we shouldn't like nepotism. When, as a parent, what do you think I'm working for? What do you think I'm doing this for? It's not for my son or daughter to be born on third base. It's for them to stay on home plate, don't even have to circle the bases. Like, dude, I'm giving them the world and let them fail forward. And if they are, oh my God, those are some brats, I'll take a successful brat as a child. But the point is, you got to open up as many doors as you can. I'm starting to see that with LeBron finally.
Would you have said to your son, don't go to the game? Like, could you see the logic if you say, hey, you know what? You didn't deserve it. We got to work on your game. Like, I'm just spitballing here of, these are all teaching moments here. And what are you teaching? What do you want to teach in a situation like that?
Yeah, I would have never told him to not go to the game, because I think the meritocracy that we're all subscribing to, especially you and I, old school, it's out the window. It's gone. Like, it's always laced with a little bit of luck, a little bit of favoritism, agenda, whatever you want to call it. And I want my child to understand that that's a part of the equation. So don't ever go into a situation. I give you this story to really bring it home. I was in the admissions department at Columbia when they were looking at new admissions and new prospects, and 4.0. 1,600 GP SAT, 4.0, 1,600 SAT, left and right, denied. What were they looking for? More than just that, something more than just an objective number. So you need more to your resume, even to get into college, extracurricular activities, be on a sports program, etc. Same thing in life. Like, you got to have more than just, I could ball. And I think Bronny can ball. He qualifies, but more so, he brings big business to the game, which will make everyone happy.
And I bring this up all the time, and it drives, I think, part of my fan base crazy. We put on TV shows. The playoffs are a TV show. All-Star games, the Heisman, everything, it's a TV show. And you have to look at it through that lens. March Madness, it's a TV show. Oh, how did that coach match up against now his former team? It's a TV show. That's what you're selling to America. And it feels like the more you embrace it, the more at least you understand what is going on now.
Exactly, man. We all care how the medicine tastes, right? And sometimes people become purists. No. All I want is the game, and that's it. Top 24, that's all I want to see. No, you don't. You want it laced with something that is going to be easier to digest, easier to consume, easier to watch. No lie. I am now going to watch this game.
I am too.
Because Bronny James is playing.
Yes.
And that's no slight to the top 24 players. I don't even know who is the number one player, but I know who number 40 is, and that's who got my attention. I'm watching Bronny.
Great to talk to you. We'll talk to you. We'll see you next week.
Let's do it, brother. Take care, Dan.
Marcellus Wiley, former All-Pro defensive end, the host of the podcast on the Dan Patrick Podcast Network. It's entitled More to It, and that's exactly who Marcellus is. Went from Compton to Columbia.